Hey y'all, I'm so excited about today's video. I don't know why I don't do this more often. It should be, I guess it's technically a series now because it's the second time I've done this. Review revisions. So I'm like circling back to products that I've reviewed or even just talked about, and I'm just like giving you the updated tea. So all of these are things that I feel like I have something more to say than I had to say about when I first talked about them on camera, when I first reviewed them. Or some of them are also just things that I've had questions about. Like people have recently been in the comments like, do you still like X, or do you still use X, or can you circle back to X? I'm doing all of that in this video. And I did this last summer at some point, and it's like almost a summer again. So I feel like it's been almost a year. I feel like I could do it like every month, and I should be doing it every month. So I'm going to try to remember to do that from now on. But for today, I'm going to knock out the ones that felt the most urgent and relevant to me as I was going through the makeup in my vanity. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things. I love makeup, and I really love using what I already own, but I also do review new makeup from time to time. And today, it's kind of both, because I'm circling back to things that I've reviewed because I have a YouTube channel, but all of it is stuff that I've retained. I'm not like coming to tell you that I actually decluttered something that I thought I really liked. I feel like anything that's that dramatic, I would have already told you about. These are like little updates on things that I actually did like enough to keep. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. Now, let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. I want to start with the things that I've gotten the most questions about. The Morphe 2 Hint Hint Skin Tint. A couple of you have been asking me about in the comments, asking if I still like it. And I feel like it's a totally valid question because it was sort of an upset. It was like a selection of drugstore products that I reviewed several months back. And this is one of the things that surprised me the most in it. I think I ended up ranking them. It was like ranking 10 drugstore products that I was testing. And this made it into like the top 3 or something. And I remember sitting down on camera and being like, I love the Morphe 2 Hint Hint Skin Tint. And, who would have thunk it? And it was this whole thing. I feel like there are none of these where I'm like, I've made a total about face. I lied, or I didn't know my own mind. And now I'm telling you something totally different. It's not like that with any of these. And it's not like that with this either. I will say that I think that I have come to realize that it can easily look cakey or look like buildup on the skin more than I think I knew at that time when I was reviewing it after having just had it for a couple of weeks or a month. I have continued to use it from time to time because there are times when, because of my blemishes, I feel like there's a whole plane of my skin, like almost my entire bottom half of my face is sort of red all over. And I don't really have many foundation products, and sometimes it just feels like it would be too much to go in with concealer and just conceal the entire bottom half of my face. But the redness is such that just spot concealing isn't really gonna do it. And especially because I ran out of color corrector and I haven't replaced it yet, my green color corrector, because I'm on this sort of like between seasons no buy, and I just don't really feel like placing an order from Sephora. I've been reaching for this kind of thing, the couple of things that I have like this, a little more lately. So I have continued to use it, and I have continued to be pretty impressed by it, especially compared to maybe what I initially feared it would be like. The thing that I'm doing though is I'm making sure only to use a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. I really go sparingly with this. I'm aware that even though it feels really serumy and good when I first rub it in, if I let myself get carried away because of that feeling and I go overboard, a couple of hours later, I'll really look like I have foundation. It'll be like gathering in my pores and gathering in the little wrinkles on my face, and I don't like that look. So I've continued to use it. It's more than just a spot concealer for me. I do use it as intended, as like an all over skin tint. I just make sure that I go in thin layers and then spot conceal on top of that, and it's quite satisfactory. The really thrilling thing about this is that it's a match for me. It's light enough for me, and it's hard to find a serumy tint, a skin tint, any kind of sort of light coverage foundation product that is in fact light enough for me. So I also use it as a mix-in because it really helps to get other products to be closer to my actual skin tone. This is another one that I keep getting questions about. My review of Auric was very, very thorough, but it was very quick turnaround. I wanted to get it up as quickly as possible. So I used the products for like 48 hours straight. I used them a bunch of times within a couple of days. And then I immediately filmed and posted the review because I wanted to get it up right after it had launched. And I have had both of the Auric products still in my collection, you know, for over a month since then. And I do kind of have updates. It's sort of been a surprise the way in which they've actually integrated into my daily use, or haven't, as the case may be. But let's talk about the Glow Lust. So I love this product. I really do. My huge gripe with it in that video is that the color is so dark for me and pink. It's really, the shade range really doesn't go very light, and the lightest shade is also very cool toned. So it's not the right undertones for me, and it's also just much darker. I will try to link all of the original reviews of all of these products because they're more thorough, like they have swatches and everything. And, you know, I don't want to like get it all over my hands right now when the swatches in that video were better than I could ever do right now. And there's application footage and everything. But, you know, it's much darker and much pinker than my concealers and foundations and my base products and all of that stuff. So I thought what was going to happen is that after that review, I would go back to using the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter whenever I wanted a cheek like this, because this is almost exactly the same consistency as that and almost exactly the same effect, pretty much indistinguishable when it's applied, except for that this color-wise isn't quite as good for me. But instead what's happened is that I've worn this almost exclusively instead of that one. I tend to default to this one. Why? Because it's not as good of a match for me. I think the reason is the skincare claims. One of the selling points of this product is that it's supposed to have skincare benefits. It's supposed to be like really good for the skin instead of just being makeup. And the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, I don't think has any claims like that. I think it's just makeup. This does feel like silky and good on the skin. It might be psychosomatic, but whenever I'm about to put something like this on my skin, I always reach for this one instead because I just feel like I'm going to relish the experience of rubbing it into my skin more. And I feel a little bit like I'm treating my skin. I also much, much, much prefer the bottle design and the pump design of this to the big doe foot of the Hollywood Flawless Filter. And what I found is that my preference for the bottle, feelings about the brand, and my hopes for the nourishing silky quality of the formula in terms of skincare benefits, those have actually ended up mattering more to me in practice than the shade. If I were just going on which one's a better match, I would be picking the Hollywood Flawless Filter every time, but instead I'm picking this every time. So I've turned out to really, really like Glow Lust quite a lot, and I've turned out to prefer it in my little collection of 3 of this type of thing. This one, the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury, and the Chanel Les Beige. I've turned out to use this one the most. What I really, really hope, my dearest hope, is that Auric will release a much lighter shade in this, like a shade that actually matches me. I would immediately spend my own money to buy that. And it's something that I'm really hoping for. So that's how it's gone with Glow Lust. And then the Smoke Reflect in Ego, I haven't touched it since the review. And it's probably because of the color. Because I think this would have been my 3rd choice, but it was the only one left when I placed the order. It's this cool toned gray, but I have been doing some kind of smudgy, smoky, cool toned gray looks lately, and I just haven't reached for this. And I haven't reached for it for the eyeshadow either. All I can say is that it's probably because of the color. I think if I had gotten the bronze one or the rose gold one, I probably would be wearing it a bunch on a daily basis like I do with the Tom Ford one, because I really love the packaging and I really love these formulas. I have no quarrel with them at all. I thought I would use it and I haven't. This is another one that I'm getting a lot of questions about, Finding Ferdinand. So I did what I think was one of the most fun videos I've done so far this year, which was about creating my own custom lip colors with this brand, Finding Ferdinand. I'll definitely link that video down below. And if you haven't watched it, I strongly recommend it. It was a super, super fun project and a really fun video to film. So I have the 4 custom colors that I made: Redwood Construction, Baby Bella, Grungy Twiggy, and Sooty Peony. I also have this one, which my friend Ted made as a gift for me, Ruth is Fine. It's so awesome because it's a color that I don't usually wear, and yet it is like really wearable for me. It's like this pinky color. It's been really fun to have this because every once in a while I'm like, I'm gonna like go way outside of my comfort zone with Ruth is fine, and I'm gonna wear Ruth is fine. So Ted really nailed it with this one, and you know, I love that. And of course I have very fond feelings about him and about the lipstick. So that's all been lovely. And I have very fond feelings about Finding Ferdinand in general because they reached out after they saw that video and were incredibly sweet. It's just a really cool company. It's a cool, small, independent company doing something really innovative and cool. And I love being able to review a brand like that and talk about the products from a brand like that, as opposed to just like the same old, like reviewing Urban Decay or whatever. So all around a great experience. I'm getting questions about these because I've done a number of videos lately where I've shown my lipsticks on camera and these haven't shown up in them. And then in the comments, people have been like, where are those Finding Ferdinand lipsticks? Do you still have them? Do you still use them? And every time I've been like, yes, I do, but I completely forgot to put them in the video because I've been storing them in a different place. So I have my little like canister, it's not a canister. I have my like acrylic container with little slots for lipsticks. I have two of them. One sort of sits up and one is like vertical and one's horizontal. One is on either side of my mirror, but these actually have pride of place. They just sit in a line right in front of my brush cups. And they're just like right in my face every day. And I do reach for them a lot. Sooty Peony is the one that I can wear it on its own. I'm holding it down here in front of my black shirt so you can really see the contrast. You can see how light it is. This is the one that I actually can wear it on its own, even though it looks like incredibly light right here. It is very light, but it's like my perfect super light washed out neutral for my skin. And then Grungy Twiggy is the one that it's like, it's so light and so gray that it kind of looks bananas on me, but it's perfect for mixing in to another lip color to make it more light and more neutral and just have more of that effect. The formulas are so good. They're like, they really, really become one with the lips instead of sitting on top of the lips. I've been so impressed by that. And it's like the fact that I use them so much and have them in pride of place on my vanity has caused me to overlook them every time I'm like bringing all of my lip products over and putting them on camera. And I just wanted to clear that up for you. I still really love the Finding Ferdinand lipsticks. The one thing that I'll say that my like revision, I feel like they haven't held up as well as I hoped they would in terms of the way that the lipsticks sit in the bullets, because I've been like grabbing them and opening them and closing them all the time and like pushing them into my lips and pressing the pigment into my lips because I like that formula so much. They've gotten a little bit messed around. And so some of the bullets are like getting like pushed as I apply them, like pushed over onto the side of the container and then like starting to scrape a little bit on the side of the container. So I do think the packaging is nice, and I do like popping them open and closed. I do think that it's nice, but it's a little bit the worse for wear at this point because I've been wearing them so much. And that's the kind of update that I can only give after having used them, you know, for a couple of months in a row. So I'm giving you that update now. Let's talk about two mascaras that I don't really like, very much. So this one actually I'll do first because it's the one that I actually reviewed sort of actively in a video. This was also in that drugstore video where I reviewed the Morphe 2 Hint Hint Skin Tint. And I don't know where the purple one is. This is the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect. It's the green one. And I also had the purple one. I really expected to love these because for years I've been talking about my preferred lash style, which is like very gunky and splinky and spidery and buildable and lengthy and girthy and just, you know, gunky. I might have already said gunky, but you get the idea. And then 1,100 people in the comments are like, Essence Lash Princess. You're going to love Essence Lash Princess. So when I did that drugstore review video, I got some for the first time. And I think I was so expecting that they would blow me out of the water that I gave them a better review than I would have if I had just tried them cold. It was really hard for me to admit that they were fine, literally just fine, but really nothing to write home about. And I wore them a lot leading up to that review video, and they were totally fine. I guess I still maintain that if I lost all my makeup and I was like on a trip and I was like, I just was running to Ulta to like quickly restock and I didn't want to spend a lot of money, or like my baggage didn't arrive, you know, my suitcase didn't arrive and I needed to like replace a bunch of makeup, they would do in a pinch. And that is saying something, because there's a lot of drugstore mascara that I wouldn't choose in that scenario. And this is one that I would be fine choosing. So it's not like I never want to wear them again or I don't recommend them. I just don't really enjoy the process of putting them on, and I don't find that I can really get them to build quite as much as I would like. And I find that they're a little bit dry. And so, especially as time has passed and they've dried out a little more, I've just found myself not really using them as much as I think maybe I thought I would at the time of filming that review. So I think for Essence Lash Princess, I would maybe go from sort of B+, A- rating, which I feel like is kind of what I gave them before, to maybe like a B-, maybe B-, maybe even C+, but more like B-. Just a little amendment. This one, I don't think I gave it like a full, this is my final answer, like review about this. Speaking of khaki, no, I wasn't speaking of khaki. I was speaking of khaki in the video that I just filmed. What's cheering me up right now? Khaki sent this to me because she wanted to send me, it was so sweet, her lip liner, which I do love. That is a fantastic product. There's no bones about it. The khaki lip liner from Thrive, so good, and the perfect color. I'm thinking about featuring it in kind of a creative way. So stay tuned. I love that product. But she also put the Thrive mascara in the package when she sent that, and it's a brown one. And I wear it almost every day when I don't wear other makeup because it's brown and I like that. It works a little bit better with my features when I'm not wearing other makeup. The other reason I tend to reach for it when I'm not wearing much other makeup is that it's so easy to wash it off because it's a tubing mascara. Sometimes when I'm about to put mascara on a very light makeup day, I'm like, do I really want to, I have the wand here and I'm like, ugh, do I really want to have to bother with washing this off at the end of the day today? But with this, that isn't a problem. So that's actually probably the main reason why I wear it so often. This is just to say, I wear it a lot. I actually, it's probably my most worn mascara lately because I have that scenario come about so often. But it's the Thrive Cosmetics mascara. Like, everybody's obsessed with it. I see these dramatic paid Instagram, ads or paid Instagram promotions where people are like putting it on really close up to the camera and their lashes are like up to here. It is very lengthening. I think that those claims are true and those videos are accurate because it's very, very, very lengthening. But I already have pretty long eyelashes. And what I want is volume. I really want to be able to build and really have like my lashes grow in girth and number at the root. And this doesn't really do that. I think those little videos are often of people who have quite thick natural lashes. So just a couple of swipes of this and suddenly it looks like their lashes are not only very, very long, but also very, very thick because they're just building length onto their naturally thick lashes. My lashes are naturally pretty thick, but not so thick that I don't want some thickening in my mascara. And this, because it's tubing, you just can't get it to build in that really spidery, gunky, gratifying way that you can really good thickening mascaras. So it always just gives me a more natural look than I prefer, lets me down a little bit. I still reach for it constantly again because it's so easy to remove. I really like that tubing quality. But I think that's just the deal with tubing. It's like tubing mascaras don't really build on themselves in that way, or if you know one that does, let me know. So it's a trade-off that I'm happy to make much of the time. But my final verdict on this is that it's just not one of my mascaras. It's not one of the handful of mascaras that I consider to be my babies and the ones that I like recommend forever because they do what I love. It's good at what it does, but it doesn't do the thing that I love. And thank you, Khaki. It's not to say that I'm not grateful because I really am, and I'm telling you I wear it all the time. Okay, 3 more, and one of them is kind of gaggy, but I'm gonna save it for last. This is the M Cosmetics Brow Gel, which I have roundly criticized every time I've mentioned it on camera. And I've actually used it almost completely up. And I just feel like I need to own up to that because every time I mention it, I'm like, I actually really hate this. When I first got it and opened it, it felt like nothing was coming out on the brush. And this is still true. It feels very dry. It feels like there's not very much in here. It feels like almost nothing. But I've worn it, I've used it all up. And that's because of this whole no makeup days kind of thing, right? So maybe it's because it's quarantine. Maybe it's just how I would be in any case. But I basically have two kinds of days. There are the makeup days and the really not really makeup days. When I'm coming on camera, obviously it's, a makeup day. Although today I'm not wearing any eye makeup. I just put on this strong lip and kind of glossy cheek. And, I covered my blemishes and kind of got my skin in shape. But this is like, to me, a makeup day. Like I'm wearing a look. On days when I'm not coming on camera and I don't really feel like putting the time in, I still do mess a little bit with my brows, try to get them in shape. I still do usually put some light coverage on my blemishes and usually a little bit of Thrive Cosmetics brown mascara. And on those days, soap brows feels like kind of a lot. Like it just feels like kind of a lot to, paste down my brows, laminate them to my skin and sculpt them. And then I come out here with this like really bare, barely made up face and these like fierce brows that could cut a bitch. You know what I mean? Like this stuff. And sometimes I do it. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm soaping my brows and nobody can stop me. But most of the time I'm like, I wish I had just some other thing that I could just kind of get my brows halfway there, get them so that they're not so fallen and tangled and weird, just like looking a little bit more like behaved, but without soap. And because this was sent to me, because I had this, came in PR, I just used it. I just ended up reaching for it over and over again. And here's what I'll say for it. It does do that a little bit. It would just slightly, just the ever so slightly tiniest crumb of structure would just take my brows from here to just here. Instead of being like, which is what I like them to be like on a day like this, they would just take them from being like here to being just like here. Just a little bit more normal looking and a little bit less demented looking. I just needed to say that because all I've ever said about this on camera is that I hate it. And I clearly don't hate it. This, however, I'm circling back. NYX The Brow Glue, which I reviewed in a live a couple of weeks ago after trying it for about a week consistently. And it does make my brow, it's like this, it's like the soap version of this. It has the convenience of a thing and I do use it. I'm wearing it today. I do use it a lot on days when I don't feel like soap. I've been using it instead of the M one because I like it a lot better. And it does usually make my brows like, you know what I mean? It makes them exactly how I like them. It does more than just make them look a little bit behaved. I can pretty much boss them with this. But I wanted to report back because in that live, I was slathering it into my brows, using way too much and using way more than I had ever used before because I was on camera and I was getting overexcited and I lost control. And I was putting it in, the soap, the glue, the brow glue, which is basically just rubber cement, I think. And in the comments, Wendy was like, that flakes on me. And I was like, that's never happened to me in the entire week plus that I've been using this and I've worn it every day and it's never flaked. But everybody, Wendy says it flakes, so just be aware that maybe it will flake. Guess what? That very day, that very evening, it flaked. But I had definitely used like twice as much in my brows on that day than I ever had before. So I think the thing with this is that if you use quite a lot of it, it can flake. But I have been able to get my brows to set with it, and I have very stubborn brows that they want to be demented, I've been able to get my brows to look fantastic with it, only using an amount that doesn't flake. The other thing that I have, the other little addition I have when it comes to this is that I feel like I'm using it up really fast. It's only been a couple of weeks, and I've used probably more than half of it, and it's probably almost gone. So to use this every day consistently, I would be replacing it like every month or 6 weeks or something. And that probably means that I won't buy it again when I use it up because I don't really like it when products have such a short shelf life, even when they're pretty inexpensive. Okay, here's the gag. The last one. Are you ready? The Saie slip cover or slip tint. I'm not sure which one it's called. I think probably it used to be called slip cover. And then when they went into Sephora was like, slip cover is misleading because it sounds like it provides coverage, but it doesn't provide any coverage. I mean, we know from my review, it literally provides pretty much no coverage. So they were like, if you're going to be in Sephora, you've got to change the name. And then they changed it to slip tint. I bet that's what happened. I just filmed that review a couple of days ago, completely panning this product and everything that Saie's ever done, up, down, and all around town. I was just like, who do they think they are? This is ridiculous. Like, how dare they? Like, that was basically my review in a nutshell. And then I proceeded to wear this product for 2 days in a row after filming that review. why? Why did I do that? I'll tell you, it's only been a couple days. So unlike all of these other things where I'm coming back and being like, and this is my literal final answer, that's not the case with this. I was gathering the things together and I was like, I should tell them. Basically, leading up to it, for the 10 or so days leading up to it, I was forcing myself to wear the makeup most days. And every time I was like, I can't wait until I film this review so I'll be done with this and I don't have to wear it anymore and I can stop trying it because it's garbage to me and I'm so tired of wearing it. I was like really annoyed. That was true for me of all of the other products. As soon as I filmed the review, I very happily put them away and I'm never going to touch them again. But this, because it has some additional SPF and I don't depend on it for my SPF, I would not do that. I have been going in the sun more lately, so I've been really careful to put on SPF every single day. So I'm wearing, either my Aaron's Faces one or a K-Beauty SPF as part of my skincare. And then when I get to the part of just for the past 2 days, when I've gotten to the part of my routine where I want to cover some of that redness and my skin is feeling really red, just like I was talking about with the Morphe hint. My skin's feeling like it's so red that I don't feel like bothering with all of the like meticulous layering of one thing and then another and then the spot concealer and all that. I'm like, I just want to kind of like lighten up the baseline redness. This has been appealing to me on those days because it has additional SPF. And these have been 2 no makeup days where what I've done is I've just put this on and then gone back with just a tiny dot or 2 of spot concealing. My skin didn't end up looking like it does today. Like the past 2 days when I've worn this, I was walking around the house looking quite blemished. Like you could see my skin in its kind of sorry condition right now. It wasn't like I had covered up what I'm dealing with on my skin, but it had lightened the overall tone a little bit. Now, the fact that I was reaching for it, the first day I reached for it, and it might have just been like force of habit because I'd been wearing it almost every day as I prepared for that review. And then the day after that, I remembered the Morphe one and I kind of mixed them together and I got a little more coverage and I was really into that. And then today, because I was going to be putting on like the full kind of mug and filming, I didn't wear this because I don't find this to be a very good base for makeup looks. It's like just a tint. And now I'm not sure what will happen. I might not reach for it again. I might never reach for it again. But I am keeping it for now and I might find more use for it than I kind of thought that I would. So for this one, stay tuned. But I thought it would be fun to include it because it was such an intense review and it was so recent. But that's everything. That's me revisiting these things that I have at some point mentioned or reviewed with a little bit more information for you. If there's anything that you've seen me review really in the past year and you were hoping that I would return to it, or you want me to revisit it, let me know in the comments, because if there are enough of them that you want to hear about that I didn't touch on in this video, I'll just gather them together and film another one of these right quick. And then I'll try to remember to make this more frequent of a series because I think it's a great video and it was pretty fun to film. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself today so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.